Hey everybody, welcome to Talking Habs, and we got some more news of the day for you today. So that's Habs and NHL news of the day, and without wasting any time, let's get right into it. June draft proposal losing traction and looking more unlikely, and this is according to Bob McKenzie. Apparently, not too many GMs like the idea of drafting before the season is completely finished and then changing the lottery system and all that. And I've been saying that for a while since it was announced. So, yeah, I don't get it, and I guess neither do a lot of the GMs. And apparently, if enough of them really push back against the idea, I think the league's going to change their mind and not push for it. So it's looking less likely as it goes along. We should hear some sort of an announcement this upcoming week because they're running out of time to announce something for the draft and for the restart of the season. So expect that this week. Next up, Toronto out as hub city, according to Toronto's mayor, and it's looking like there will be no sports in Toronto until at least the fall. That's what he's saying. So they are out of the running for the hub cities. It's looking like it's Vancouver and Edmonton that's leading in Canada. Montreal, I think, is definitely out as well because we're not doing well here for that as far as the pandemic. It's like we're the worst place in Canada, so I doubt Montreal is going to be opened up for that. And Toronto's out as well. So figure it should be Vancouver and Edmonton if there's two Canadian cities in there. Next up, the NHLPA is voting this weekend. They are voting to determine if they will extend their deferral for receiving their last paychecks, which were due in April. It was their final paychecks for the season. They don't get paid. They don't get paid for playoffs. They never have. And they'll do that if they defer. It'll be for another month. And it says if it's a yes, you got to read my own writing. If it's a yes, it could signal an improved relationship between the league and the union, and hopefully could mean maybe an extension to the CBA or an easier negotiation without a lockout. Because the CBA is up for renegotiation or renewal in 2 years, and I don't think the league can afford to have any kind of we'll just call it a work stoppage, whether it's a lockout or the players go on strike. They can't afford that so soon after all this is going on, and I think that they'll work together. And this will be a good sign of, that there's good. It's like I'm going to say a leap of faith, but it shows faith. Yeah, I'm not getting that term. And I think it's a good sign, and I personally think that there'll be some sort of an extension to the CBA with maybe some minor changes to it, but I don't think they'll renegotiate a whole new CBA. That's my personal feeling. And let's hope that happens because I, for one, don't want to see any kind of a work stoppage at all. And like I said, don't think the league can afford it. Folks, this video is brought to you by Rick's Emotional Support Hockey Pucks. Having trouble dealing with the NHL suspended season? Are you missing hockey and human connection in your life? Can't eat, sleep, or just function properly? Get an Emotional Support Hockey Puck from Rick's Emotional Support Hockey Pucks. Go to www. This website does not exist.ca and get your Emotional Support Hockey Puck today. Next up, NHL's Return to Play Committee has been working all weekend. I'm recording this on Sunday. Has been working all weekend on a 24-team playoff format. It's starting to look more like they really are leaning towards that 24-team playoff format. And if you remember when I said that when Bettman was interviewed by Ron McLean and they were talking about all these things, and I said more than likely the things he's talking about are the way they want it to be, and it makes a lot of sense. The more teams that are in this the playoffs this year only, the more revenue that comes into the league, and for more teams to get a little bit of revenue, right? So it's going to help everybody a little bit in the long run, and it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I think that's where they're going to go. Personally, I really do think that's how it'll work out. And yeah, they're working it out. Well, they're starting working it out this weekend. Apparently, working all weekend. Next item is what it would look like, how it would match up for the first, for the beginning of the playoffs, if they were to do a 24-team playoff. And depending on how they work out the teams, it should be these teams. And I would think the top two teams in each division are going to get a bye. So you're looking at Boston, Tampa Bay, Washington, Philadelphia in the East, and St. Louis, Colorado, Vegas, and Edmonton in the West. And then the matchups for the other 16 teams, I believe that's right, would be in the East. Pittsburgh would face Montreal. My dog liked that suggestion. I guess, I don't know why. Pittsburgh and Montreal would face off as Pittsburgh being the 5th team, Montreal being the 12th. So they'll go 5-12, 6-11 like that. Carolina against Florida. Toronto against the Rangers. The Blue Jackets against the Islanders. And in the West, we'd see Dallas facing Chicago. Winnipeg against Arizona. Calgary and Minnesota. Nashville and Vancouver. So a lot of interesting matchups. I'm not sure, but Montreal has a couple of upsets, I believe, against Pittsburgh over the years in the playoffs, and we can hope for another one here. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah, so that's how it would look if there's a 24-team playoff. They're also looking at 20 teams and just the 16 teams. So we should have an announcement, like I said, about with the whatever else I was talking about. That's it's coming soon this week. The draft, the draft announcement and the playoff announcement are expected both this week. Next item up on this list: fourth line players will take the brunt of salary cap not going up. So we're not sure what's going to happen with the salary cap, but more than likely, it's not going up. I mean, I think it'd be almost a miracle if the salary cap goes up for next season. It could either stay the same or drop down, depending on who you talk to, how much. But who's going to take the brunt? Where are they going to get the money? Because there's a lot of teams that are kind of up to their necks or really close to the cap limit. And what are they going to do? They got to move players. So who's going to take the brunt of this? It's probably fourth line players. Guys on the fourth line making $1 million or more, and they're gonna bring in the young guys. Like Montreal has Jake Evans, who's on an ELC. I think he's somewhere around $700,000 in that area. So you're gonna get guys, young players like that, coming up for their first, taste of the NHL, making on their ELCs, making under $1 million, making league minimum. Those kind of players are going to be on your fourth line probably for the next couple of seasons. And like a guy like Nate Thompson, who may get a break if he's willing to come in at, league minimum, because his contract's up. So if anyone's hoping that he come to Montreal, yeah, if he signs for league minimum. But that's what's going to happen. I know I'm babbling a little bit about it, but that's what I'm saying is that fourth line players are going to get squeezed out a bit, and younger kids are going to get the break because they make a lot less money. What I should have really done is should have just read what I wrote instead of trying to just. That's how it works. Some days. Next item up for bids. Radko Gudas speaks out. Washington Capitals defenseman Radko Gudas, who is a free agent at the end of the season, UFA, we'll get into it. So the Caps' Radko Gudas has been outspoken about not wanting the league to start back up to finish the 2019-20 season. He said he would rather stay at home with his family and not take any chances of getting sick and getting his family sick, and he doesn't think it's worth it to start up again, even though he's on a team that is definitely in the playoffs, and you'd think that maybe he'd be more interested in doing that. He's also said that he's also hinted that he won't be re-signing next season with Washington, and expects more expiring contracts will be leaving the team as well due to cap space issues. And he listed Ilya Kovalchuk. So he's saying guys like that, Kovalchuk himself, they won't be re-signing with Washington. So anybody who wants Kovalchuk to come to Montreal, that's pretty much what Montreal has said, that if Washington doesn't sign him, they're definitely going to try to sign him. So I guess yay for that. I wouldn't mind seeing him come back at the right price and the right term. So I also think Montreal should consider Gudas. He's a UFA. I don't think he'll come in at too high price. For a short-term deal, like 1 or 2 seasons, he could bring some toughness and experience to that third pairing on the right side as a gap in between the young guys coming up in the next 2 seasons. So you wouldn't be rushing Cale Fleury. You wouldn't be rushing, Juleson to fill that spot on the third pair of the on the right side and give them time to develop a little longer. You sign Gudas to a 1 or 2 year contract at a decent price. And I mean, it's an option. I don't know that they can do it, but that's an idea that I've done. Next up, and the last item, is Cole Caufield. Cole Caufield setting goals for himself next season. I just read the quote, I think it was today, that he's setting goals for himself for next season in Wisconsin. And remember, he's playing in the talking too fast, NCAA, that's what I was trying to say, with the Wisconsin Badgers. Now, if anybody watches my videos, you saw at the beginning of the season, I kind of predicted him for 60 goals as a ridiculous thing because I realize now how ridiculous that was. But his goals for himself are similar. He's not looking at 60 goals, but he is looking at least a goal and 2 points per game. So you could say a goal and an assist, but it doesn't mean that. Maybe 2 goals, and but he wants at least a goal. So he'd like to score 35 goals as a minimum over there in the NCAA next season. So he wants to get 65, 70 points, setting some records, being a league leader, and just proving himself on his way up the ladder to Montreal. So there you go. That's it. That's the items I got for you today. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like the video, give a thumbs up. While you're on the way down there to do that, please, in the comment section, which is down there, leave me any comments you may have about any of this, what you think about any of this, what you think about the how it would the 24-team format might go and the matchups there. And yeah, anything in the comment section. Leave any comments. I read them all. And while you're on the way down there, if you haven't subscribed yet, you can subscribe, ring that notifications bell, and that's going to get you your daily fix of Bleu Blanc Rouge right here at Talkin' Habs. So once again, thanks for watching, everybody. Please be safe out there, and I will see you next video. Peace out, y'all.